Academy Awards for any movie lover are the best time of the year. It's a time for us to celebrate the best movies of the year gone, but also reflect on Oscars and films from years many, many moons ago. I'm always fascinated by the history of things, and the lead up to the Oscars, it got me thinking, how do these begin? And how do we get from where it began to where we are today? So I thought for the very first video for 2025, I would do a mini deep dive into the history of the Academy Awards. I want to quickly apologize for it being my first video of 2025 and it's nearly March. I spent a bit of time in hospital unexpectedly over the past couple of weeks. I live with multiple sclerosis and I'm a very proud ambassador for that. But when you live with MS, things can happen very quickly and unexpectedly. And yes, I spent quite a bit of time in hospital, which was not fun. But I'm excited to be back and excited for 2025 and all the fun things that I have planned at Hollywoodland Photos. And this feels like the first video. So the Academy Awards, also known of course as the Oscars, are more than just a night of stars in glamorous ball gowns and gorgeous red carpets. It is the most prestigious night in Hollywood, where cinematic achievement is celebrated and iconic moments are born. Each year, millions from around the world tune in to see who takes home the coveted golden statuettes. They're not real, obviously. But have you ever wondered how it all began? Well, today we're taking a step right back in time to the late 1920s, when Hollywood is in full swing. The film industry is growing rapidly and with silent films reigning supreme. But there's a shift on the horizon. Sound films or talkies are taking over the industry. And while this industry is flourishing, it's also grappling with labor disputes, concerns over censorship, and the desire to legitimize filmmaking as an art form rather than just pure entertainment. So, here enters Louis B. Mayer, one of the most powerful men in Hollywood and the head of MGM Studios. In 1927, Mayer had a bold idea. What if an organization could bring together the key players in Hollywood, actors, directors, writers, producers, and unite them for the good of the industry? His vision was clear: to regulate the industry, to improve its image, and prevent labor unions from forming. In that year, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences was born. Its primary purpose wasn't initially about awards. It was about mediating labor disputes and protecting the industry from unionization. But as the Academy began to grow, it became clear that an awards ceremony could be a powerful way to legitimize filmmaking as a true art form. At the heart of it all was Mayer's desire to kind of use the awards as a tool for control. As he famously once put, "I found the best way to handle filmmakers was to hang medals all over them. If I got them cups and awards, they'd kill themselves to produce what I wanted." That's how the Academy Awards evolved, by giving filmmakers a reason to strive for excellence. It wasn't until May 1928 that serious discussions began about how the awards ceremony would unfold. By July 1928, a formal list of 12 categories had been approved and the voting system was set in place. And by February 1929, the first nominees were announced to the press, a whole 15 months before the ceremony took place. Can you imagine that? Crazy. But before we move on to that first ceremony, let's talk about the design of the Oscar statue. Cedric Gibbons, an MGM art director, was tasked with designing the trophy. He came up with a figure of a knight holding a sword, standing in front of a film reel. The 5 spokes of the reel represented the 5 branches of the Academy: actors, directors, producers, technicians, and writers. The sword symbolized protection for the welfare and advancement of the industry. The design was adapted and became the iconic gold statuette we all recognize today. So now we're fast forwarding, it's May 16, 1929, and the very first Academy Awards ceremony took place at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. Now, keep in mind, this was not the glamorous, glitzy, massive event that we know today. The first Oscar ceremony was a private dinner attended by just 270 industry insiders. There was no television, obviously, no radio broadcast. That would happen in the second year, and certainly no red carpet. In fact, it was so low-key that it would only last 15 minutes. Now, I know there are many viewers when I scroll Twitter when I watch the Oscars that would like a 15-minute Academy Awards ceremony. I love that it goes for 4 hours. I wish it would go for 10. Keep it going. Imagine a 15-minute Academy Awards ceremony. How boring. In a major departure from how things are done today, the winners for the first Oscars were actually announced 3 months before the ceremony. Can you imagine that happening today? The winners were informed, obviously, ahead of time, and the media was notified as well. This helped to avoid any leaks or spoilers, but it also made the event less spontaneous and exciting. The ceremony didn't feature any acceptance speeches. Instead, winners were simply announced, the statuettes were presented in an almost quiet and understated manner. The winners in the very first Oscars were awarded in 12 categories, which were much fewer than the 23 categories we have today. Among those awards were 2 separate categories for Best Picture, one for Best Production and one for Best Unique and Artistic Picture. The 2 winners were Wings, a massive war epic, and Sunrise, an emotional, innovative drama. The next year, the Academy realised it didn't make sense to give out 2 awards for Best Picture, so it scrapped the Best Unique and Artistic Picture category and settled on a single Best Picture award for the rest of the ceremony's history up until today. As the years went on, the Academy Awards grew larger, and with new categories being introduced to reflect the evolution of the industry. In 1936, Best Supporting Actor and Best Supporting Actress were introduced to recognise the importance of supporting roles and supporting actors in films. In 1940, when the Los Angeles Times accidentally published the list of winners before the ceremony began, the Academy implemented the very strict sealed envelope method, ensuring the results stayed secret until the big reveal. And in 1964, the Academy introduced the Best Visual Effects category, a move that recognised the increasing importance of special effects in sci-fi and fantasy films. And in 2001, the Academy introduced the Best Animated Feature Award, acknowledging the cultural impact of animated films like Toy Story and perhaps the greatest film of all time, Shrek. The biggest game changer came in 1953 when the Oscars were televised for the very first time. For the first time, people across America could watch the Oscars unfold from the comfort of their home, and by the 1960s, the event was broadcast internationally. And today, more than 200 countries tune in to watch the Oscars with a production budget that runs into the tens of millions. So the Oscars went from being a very private industry affair to being a global event. No matter how polished the ceremony is, there are always unscripted, jaw-dropping moments that steal the show. One of the most awkward moments in Oscar history was in 1934, when host Will Rogers announced the Best Director winner by saying, "Come up and get it, Frank." The problem? 2 Franks were nominated. Frank Capra for Lady for a Day and Frank Lloyd for Cavalcade. Capra excitedly stood up, only to realise the award wasn't for him, but for Lloyd. I wish that had been filmed. Actually, no, I don't. That's embarrassing. Wow. Why would you say it like that? You know there's 2 Franks. Are you trying to cause a scene? It's Hollywood, of course he was. In 1969, the Oscars had their first and only to date tie for Best Actress. Katharine Hepburn and Barbra Streisand both took home the award, but Hepburn wasn't there to accept hers. That led to an iconic Hollywood moment when Barbra Streisand looked down at her golden statuette and said, "Hello, gorgeous." She had won the Oscar for playing Fanny Bryce in Funny Girl, one of my all-time favourite movies. Now we fast forward to 1973, when Marlon Brando refused his Best Actor Oscar for his portrayal in The Godfather. It was in protest of Hollywood's treatment of Native Americans. Instead, he sent Sacheen Littlefeather to decline the award on his behalf. She took to the stage and delivered a speech highlighting the industry's misrepresentation of Native Americans. The reaction was mixed. Some applauded, some booed, and Littlefeather faced backlash and was largely blacklisted from Hollywood afterwards. This was one of the biggest scandals in Hollywood history. Moving on to something a little bit lighter, one of the biggest Oscar mishaps happened in 2017. I remember watching this live, I'm sure you all did too, during the Best Picture announcement. Presenters Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty were given the wrong envelope and mistakenly declared that La La Land was the winner. As the cast and crew celebrated on stage, chaos unfolded behind them because Moonlight was actually the winner. Producers had to step in and correct the mistake, creating one of the most awkward and jaw-dropping and shocking moments in Hollywood history. In 2022, not that long ago at all, the Oscars gave us one of the most shocking moments in Academy history. Again, I remember watching it live on that couch out there. While presenting an award, Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith, which didn't sit well with her husband Will Smith. In a moment nobody saw coming, Smith walked onto the stage and slapped Chris Rock live on air. The room fell silent, the internet exploded, and I remember my stomach dropped. And I said to my mum, who I was watching it with, was that real? Was that meant to be funny? I don't find that funny. That was horrific. And I felt so uneasy and so uncomfortable because not long later, Will Smith won Best Actor. And it completely took the shine off the fact he just won the Academy Award. It really became one of the most unforgettable moments in Oscar history. I think something that we've spoken about for decades to come. Can't discuss the Oscars without talking about the road to diversity and inclusion at the Academy Awards. It's certainly been a long journey. In 1940, the incredible Hattie McDaniel became the first African American to win an Oscar, taking home Best Supporting Actress for her role in Gone with the Wind. However, McDaniel was forced to sit at a segregated table during the ceremony, a reminder of the systemic racism that plagued Hollywood. For decades, there was very little progress in terms of racial equality at the Academy Awards and in Hollywood in general. It wasn't until 1964 that Sidney Poitier became the first African American to win Best Actor for his role in Lilies of the Field. And it wasn't until the 1990s that we saw more African American actors being recognised by the Academy, with Whoopi Goldberg winning Best Supporting Actress for her role in Ghost in 1991, followed by Denzel Washington and Halle Berry in 2002. Halle Berry became the first African American woman to win Best Actress for her role in Monsters Ball. In recent years, in the 2020s, the Oscars have continued to evolve. Progress has been made, but there's still a lot more work to be done, not only at the Academy Awards, but in the industry, in the world as a whole. The Oscars continue to shine a spotlight on Hollywood's changing landscape, and as we look ahead to the future, I think we can only hope that this event will continue to evolve and reflect the diversity of the world that it serves. Today, the Oscars are a global event watched by millions of people worldwide. It's the pinnacle of cinema, a night where the best and brightest of Hollywood are celebrated, and despite the dazzling glamour, the purpose of the event remains the same as it did in 1929, to honour excellence in filmmaking. For me, the Academy Awards hold such deep meaning. I have watched it with my mum every Oscar Monday for us in Australia. It's on a Monday afternoon for as long as I can remember. And it was, when I was especially a bit younger, a place for me to watch and dream that one day I would be there, standing with the greats, perhaps with one of my own. But now I have 6. I did it. It's still a massive dream of mine. It's the ultimate goal of I think any filmmaker and actor is to win an Academy Award, and I still watch it and dream. Maybe one day. Who knows? And that, my friends, is the fascinating, a little bit short history of the Academy Awards. I would love to know what your favourite Academy Award winning film is, so let me know in the comments. And also don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification button so you know when I've got a new video up. And thank you so much for watching and enjoy the Academy Awards.